do you find that your personal views that you express on the internet, does that have any, do you ever not worry that that might have a negative repercussion in your professional existence, because your professional existence differs from your internet existence?
Well, I quit my job last week because I hate them. So, but personally, it worried me near the beginning because I'm a writer, and so I often do a lot of freelance stuff, and who knows who you're going to be working for in the future. But then it occurred to me that I wasn't really that worried about starving to death on the street, so screw it. I just accepted my skeptical persona, and everybody who meets me, I can't hide anything. I literally cannot shut up. So, yeah. Did anyone else have problems?
I haven't noticed any problem. I do personally kind of steer a little bit away from the atheism thing, just because that's such a hot button for a lot of people, and I stick closer to the non-atheism related skeptical topics like alternative medicine, paranormal, things like that. But I do have some fun on my Facebook every once in a while because I have a lot of coworkers that are on there who aren't skeptics. So every once in a while I'll post something about vaccines and they'll pop in and say, "But I heard it causes autism." And so we end up having a discussion. So those can become opportunities actually to talk to people and engage them. But I haven't noticed much of it. I work in the computer industry in my day job, so it was pretty low key.
I just recall an anecdote that I was writing for a construction company, and we got a job, and I would do like proposals for them and stuff that went out to potential clients, and we got this job working for the First Church of Christ scientists, Christian scientists who believe in faith healing. They were really horrible people. And my boss walked over and she's like, "Okay, I need you to write something about this project. I know you hate these people. Please don't put anything like that in there." And it's fine. So like everybody knows about it and they work around it.
It's a little heartbreaking when you hear stories of people that you sort of hold in reverence, and they say, I wish I could talk about this, but Adam Savage in his talk, when he'd love to go after companies and be like top tier, but he can't because there's no way the Discovery Channel is going to let him do that because they have sponsors, etc., etc. And that breaks your heart a little bit, because it's a bottom line issue. For me, it's mostly I worry more that my relatives will hear the show than any sort of professional connections or whatever.
Your mom is on the show.
I know.
She doesn't
listen to the show. Dad is actually the editor for the show, so he'll listen first. When there's no fisting comments, then Mom will listen.
George actually lives in his parents' basement.
Yeah.
That's all from there.
Yeah, they'll give me a ride later, so I got to go.
So she's heard exactly one episode.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Parents family reminds me of when I was first published in The Guardian, and I told my granddad about it, and he said, "Oh, couldn't you have written for a proper newspaper?" I've never blogged anonymously. I always started off, I was sort of pseudo-anonymous, I was just Martin, and then eventually I just sort of kind of gave that up. I've actually put my blog on CVs and things and applied for jobs and discussed it in interviews. And it's fine, because in many ways blogging and being able to attract a big audience is a good skill for a lot of people to have at companies and so on. In the writing career, it doesn't apply. Obviously, I wouldn't have a sort of a writing career as such if I didn't blog. There are occasionally times where I sort of think, I'm about to really heavily criticise like the Guardian health editor for something, and then I think, I'm actually going to be pitching something to her at the end of the month, so maybe that's not quite such a wise idea. But generally, I just have a rule really that anything I write is something that I'd be happy to stick by no matter what company I was in.
I don't discuss this at work really. I work in quite a different area. I've been in Scotland today working for an organisation that used to be a bank and now they're a government department. And trying to get all our money back, so I'm trying to help them with. So it doesn't really come up. Where again, I have the biggest problem is in my private life because I've got lots of friends who are quacks and they're all lovely. And I don't like discussing it with them too much really. I mean, the worst thing is that fairly regularly I've got a student from McTimoney Chiropractic College lodging with me, and he has no idea what I write about. So when I put up all that post about how the McTimoney's were shutting down their websites, it must have caused absolute pandemonium there. And he's just down publicly got an awful lot of books in your attic about alternative medicine. Yes. Interesting.
You got a log on your
No, he actually lodges up there in Quackmonitor headquarters. To get lots of good info on him.
It's hard to have these convictions sometimes, and I'm lucky in that my day job is playing drums, so the two seldom meet. I mean, I had
George, I've heard that no matter what you do, you can make it more skeptical.
Yeah, no, I do. It's whenever I'm at a wedding and an invocation is given or someone, says, let's bow our heads, I just raise my chin just a little bit.
Do you give them a rim shot?
That's my protest. That's my the equivalent of this. For me, is just going. And now I have the trumpet player doing it as well. So, and we're slowly going to get the whole band eventually. It's a 9-piece band, so eventually the whole band will just lift. Yes, that's the point. You should hear some of the prayers that are given. So, but it's I think it's difficult to have the convictions and say, hey, this is what I believe, and if I got to lose a gig here or there, this is what we believe. We're not even believe. This is the system we use to assess information, and if you don't want to work for someone who uses a different system from yours, then that's something you got to do, I think. And again, I'm very lucky that I can sort of say that without having a day job, really. But it's tough. It's work.
Yeah, I was a little more cowardly than that, I'm afraid. I don't do this radio show and podcast anonymously. This is my real name, and it's never been anonymous. However, when it started, I made the decision not to talk about it to people I work with. And I work in an office with about anywhere between 15 and 20 people. And we've all worked together for years, and we're all quite close friends. But I just figured that these are people that I've not chosen to be friends with. We've been thrown together for other circumstances. Some of them have a little bit of religious belief. Some of them believe in a bit of quackery. One guy particularly believes in, weirdly, doesn't believe in God or heaven, but believes in spiritualism. And spirits, I don't really figure out how that works. And I just couldn't be bothered getting into the conversation. And I just wasn't interested in the possibility of souring relationships with people that I had to be with to talk about that. And one of the reasons I made that decision as well was that this was, obviously this radio show's been going 4.5 years now. I anticipated it lasting about 6 weeks or something. So I made that decision, sort of forgot about it a bit, and then realised at some point that I've been doing this radio show for like 18 months, still haven't told anyone about it. And then you have to face having a discussion with people where you go, oh yeah, what you did tonight, yeah, well I'm going off to do my radio show. Oh, what's that? Yeah, I've been doing this radio show where we get some quite good and prominent people to want to talk about it. And I've been doing it for about the last 18 months, and I've never mentioned it before. so now I still find myself in that position, and it was stupid, it was a bad thing to do, and I really wish I hadn't done it, but there you go.
Isn't that a chance though to be an example? With your friends, because they know you as a person, to be able to say, hey, this is where I'm coming from. It's like, for me personally, as a non-believer, as an atheist, I love it when I tell someone who doesn't know I'm an atheist and yet knows me, and their first response is, but you're so nice. And it's an opportunity.
I agree entirely, and I do sort of wish I'd done that, but I think, as I said, there became a point where it just seemed to be too late and too embarrassing to get involved.
It's never too late. Come out of the
Fair enough.
It's more fun.
And I'll talk about gay.
There was one of the other things that sort of impacts on a bit is if you fancy yourself as a bit of an undercover reporter, as it were. And one problem I had recently was I got in touch with a chiropractic in Maidenhead, where I work, and got in touch with them, asked them a bunch of fairly innocuous sounding questions, mentioned my name, and the next day I got an email back saying, I've Googled you. And I'm not going to speak to you again. So,
the exact same thing happened to me after every date.